donations.
I did not,
15
claims. And I hope I had the presence of mind. I may not have done that.
Oh, he got you.
Exactly what
I think he did.
I got caught up in.
You going to Jamaica when you leave, or what?
I can, if you got the tickets. I'm ready.
And this I used to, I don't know.
Very old attorney is
Hey, my friend.
Good to be seen.
on the bond.
Doing it sometimes.
Good. Good. How are you guys?
So,
How are you, Brad? Have to say hi to you.
That's all right.
and then
Tough couple days.
Switched
So.
out
Oh, is that
your,
right?
I think that's
to something a little more permanent.
Yeah.
And then
Amen.
that thing
Yeah.
that was down
Very well, thank you.
Yeah. No,
There
it's
was an
it's
email that
actually
came
a
out
good diagnosis.
from Christine Better.
Dr. Joyner thinks the probability of a heal through non-surgical repair is high. So
It's like I'm actually in a draft.
I can deal with the cast for a
An
while.
open mind.
Yeah.
Christy Better.
Dr. Joyner, I think, rotates in here.
Tree branches.
Don't know how often he's here. He's here. Daily, he's here.
It might be.
I guess it's just keeping the sidewalk and the streets and the street lights and traffic signs free of
Well, who made that decision?
mainly it's trees.
Yeah, a lot of times on sidewalk, where we got rentals and trees that do grow all over the sidewalk.
So is this part of the downtown people that got that money to redo all that?
Yeah, I would ask. I mean, seriously.
Partake in the festivities over there?
I'm gonna do a couple things.
Are you?
Yeah, my mom's got rodeo tickets like behind the scenes, so
Oh, really?
yeah, it should be fun with the dinner. And
Yeah, I went down there.
she's excited.
10 o'clock service.
We'll check that out. My wife's filming a bunch of stuff, so we got press passes for everything. So
Awesome.
yeah, I don't know what we'll do with the toddler. It's
Early
not
this
as
morning,
much fun.
last night.
He thinks it's awesome. He's like, "Wait, this is great."
I know Mark's not gonna be here again.
Gets better.
Yeah.
His mother passed away.
What's this all about?
I'm not sure when, but I think
And then they
they
become
were
teenagers
Kansas.
and adults, and yeah.
She was in a nursing home in Littleton, Colorado.
Because I've got a 20-year-old daughter and a toddler, so I got both. Yeah. I have. Hoping she's coming out.
That looks so different with that, all his hair.
Seems like it might be a good idea.
Honestly, this time of year.
It says civilian, business
Supposed to be
casual.
103
I
tomorrow.
think that's a little too casual.
I got a heat advice
this is-
tomorrow.
This is business casual.
Monkey business casual.
Well, if my clothes you want to see, I can just send them down on a hanger.
Yeah, they're good.
Did you see anything on there that was?
You two are gonna land us in jail one of these
Yes,
days,
it
I can tell.
At least we'll be together.
Yes.
Scary.
On that page you were just
Well, he's
on,
always telling
I,
me about my clothes and how inappropriate they are.
I didn't say anything about inappropriate. I never even used the word.
That's the way I took it.
This was a city council meeting in Hawaii, it'd be perfect.
Okay, before this gets any worse, let's get the meeting started. Welcome, everyone, to a very warm June 15th City Council meeting. We are calling the meeting to order. Tonight, we have Pastor Bob Deerdoff from the Beautiful Savior Lutheran Church gracing us with the invocation, please.
Gracious God, giver of all good things, not the least of which are those who serve us in our municipality, our elected, hired, and appointed officials, and all those who work so hard to keep the services working that we rely upon. We thank you for them and their gifts, their diligence, their integrity. We ask you to bless especially those who serve in our utilities, in our law enforcement, first responders of fire and rescue, and the armed forces among us. As we have a meeting this night, we ask your hand of wisdom, your guidance, your prudence, your peace and order among those who are participating. And as our community begins its celebration of the Buffalo Bill Festival and all of our Nebraska Land Days, we thank you for the opportunity to rejoice again together, to celebrate as a community. We ask protection and safety upon all those who come to join us, that all would do so safely and with respect for the rights and care and safety of others. So we ask your blessing this night, not because we deserve it, but because, again, you are such a good and gracious and loving God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Deerdorf. Okay, everybody, let's see. We need a roll call, please.
Nestle.
Here.
Tryon. Here. Bowles. Lucas.
Here.
Garrett.
Here.
Harmon.
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Woods.
Thank you. There's a current copy of the Open Meetings Act of Nebraska posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Meeting procedure. The public may address specific agenda items at the pleasure of the mayor. If recognized by the mayor, please identify yourself by stating your name and address. Please address the council through the mayor and limit remarks to 3 minutes or less. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. I'm very excited tonight. We get to have an award and an accolade. Or maybe just awards and accolades. But either way, we have some excitement tonight. Okay, we have some members of the tree board here, right? Would you guys all come up, please? Let's meet in the middle over here, please.
With the flag in the middle?
Flag in the middle.
We have a couple of, if I may, Mayor?
Go right ahead, please.
A couple of awards for the city of North Platte. One of which is Tree City USA. We were, North Platte was awarded this for the 11th year out of the last 21. And there are 4 criteria. You have to proclamation, celebrate, and honor Arbor Day. Have a set of city ordinances on the books, have a $2 per capita budget, and have an existing tree board. There's 7 of us on the tree board, 6 of which are here tonight. What does the tree board do for North Platte? We apply for grants from Nebraska Forest Service and some arborums around the state. This year we were lucky enough to hand out 546 trees to 3rd and 4th graders. So we try and assist Lyle Mitchell, the Parks Director, with city property trees to take notice of, travels around in the park system, just not anything other than observing what needs to maintain healthy trees for the city. That's about it. So with that, we'd like to present these awards to the city of North Platte.
Okay, thank you. I may need another hand before this.
We got 38 years as a Tree City board.
Okay.
38 consecutive years.
Okay.
And then those are the growth awards.
Growth awards. Very nice.
There'll be a test.
Oh, we've gone on to another one. See, we have empty spots, so we have more years to expand. Very exciting.
Yes. sometimes, talking about trees is sometimes a little mundane because they grow so slow, but on a day like today, when you're enjoying the shade of a 70-foot elm tree or a cottonwood, this is for our grandchildren.
Yeah. Tremendous investment in our future, and we thank you for all you
Okay, before you depart, I need to get your names, starting here.
Doyce Williams.
D-O-Y-C-E.
Correct.
And if you're an officer on the board, please let me know.
I'm Nina.
Next, we're going to next.
Hughes.
Nina, N-I-N.
L-E-N-A.
Olena, and last name?
Secretary.
Last name?
Hughes.
Hughes, okay.
Mary Shimon.
S-H-I-M-M-I-N.
Yeah, and I'm actually not on the tree board, I'm a consultant.
Okay.
Vice President.
And chairman.
Okay, so actually, okay, and then, I should know. Tia McGuire. Do you have an office right now, Tia?
No.
Okay. And when the.
Great job, man.
D-A-R. Okay, so we have 4 current members of the board in the picture out of 7. Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Before you guys leave, we have a little more fun here. Lyle, would you approach, please? The Dave Mooter Award goes to people whose lessons, actions, dedication, and love of trees has been instilled and carried on by all who know or knew that person, according to the award's criteria. Lyle Minshall, the Park and Cemetery Supervisor of North Platte, has dedicated his service and love of trees to the entire state of Nebraska over the past 30-plus years. Minshall has enhanced the city's memorial tree program, started a tree nursery, and ensured that there is a variety of native and non-native trees within the city park system. Lyle has touched countless individuals with his love for trees, and he has helped carry that enthusiasm for generations to come. His devotion to teaching proper tree planting techniques, as well as teaching tree pruning and beautification, has helped people of all ages in better tree care. Over the years, Mr. Minshall has been involved in numerous tree organizations, including the North Platte Tree Board and the Nebraska Community Forestry Council. The City of North Platte appreciates Mr. Minshall's dedication to trees and urban forestry, and we proudly present him with the Dave Mooter Award, which is this very nice plaque. Lyle, thank you very much. Okay. Anyone else have a speech to give? Lyle, do you have something?
I've got,
Okay.
for those of you who don't know Dave Mooter, he was a very exceptional person that did tree planting and tree advocacy on the state level. He was a community forester for the Nebraska Forest Service. But he had what we call mooterisms. And one of the mooterisms was that trees aren't the problem. He says people are the problem. So if you get along with people, you can do the things with trees. And another thing that he had said, is well, quit complaining, if the trees can't move, you can, so get moving. I love Dave, and I'm glad and I'm honored to get this award, for the fact that, I'm being kind of considered a person like Dave, and that's truly an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thank you for coming.
That is under.
And so ends the accolades phase of the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Okay, consent agenda. All matters under the consent agenda are considered by the city council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any city council member may, however, remove an item from consent by request. Number 1, approve minutes of June 1st, 2021. Number 2, approve applications by Pal's Brewing Company LLC for special designated licenses on 7 consecutive Thursdays from July 1st, 2021 to August 12th, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Fort Cody Trading Post, 221 Halligan Drive, for a music series. Number 3, send application of Pepper Jack's Development LLC, DBA Pepper Jack's Grill for a Class 1 liquor license, beer, wine, and distilled spirits on sale only, located at 1313 South Dewey Street, to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission with no recommendation. Number 4, adopt the recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission for preliminary and final approval of Cody Land First Replat located at 1903 North Sheridan Avenue. Number 5, approve and authorize the mayor's signature regarding an agreement between State of Nebraska-History Nebraska and the City of North Platte to complete historic preservation-related activities in the certified local government. Thank you.
I move we approve items 1 through 5 of the consent agenda.
Second.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Reeker, you have the floor.
I would like to pull number 5.
Okay. Number 5 is pulled.
I move we approve 1 through 4.
Second.
Okay. Calling the question on items 1 through 4 on the consent agenda, please vote. Okay, the first 4 consent agenda items have passed. Number 5, discussion.
Mr. Mayor, if we approve this agreement, what is that, how does that encumber, or does it encumber the city with any requirements for maintaining a historical preservation for the downtown? What does this do? What encumbrances are there with this agreement?
My understanding is this agreement is to update the brochures, but I think Judy has some information, so I'll ask her to approach.
Judy Clark, City Planning Administrator, Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Reeker. It doesn't really encumber the city as a requirement to maintain much of anything. It's just a grant that they provide. Year after year, they provide grant money to certified local governments, which we are a certified local government. I believe we became a certified local government back in 2010, possibly, which allowed the Historic Preservation Commission to do some historic preservation type things. Each year, we generally apply and are granted some fundings for some type of an activity. Several years ago, we completed the downtown walking brochure and put some signs in windows of those businesses in the downtown area that would allow people to walk in and kind of look at their buildings, that sort of thing. And so what they were wanting to do this year is to update that and make it a little bit more up to date, since we did it back in 2013, 2014, something like that. And once they do that, they're also looking at the possibility of some more signage. And the only thing that the city is, we have to do reporting, of course. The city does have to match it with $3,000, but that money can be in-kind services. And so the hours spent by the Historic Preservation Commission to design the brochure, do the edits, design the signs, those types of things, can be used as in-kind match. So more than likely, we're not going to come up with any cash match for that grant.
So this isn't going to require any of the building owners downtown to meet some type of a historic preservation requirement on remodels or upgrades to their buildings?
No. And that area has been designated as a National Historic District. It's on the Federal Register, the area in the downtown. And so, yeah, this isn't going to have put any more regulations on them than what they already have.
Okay. What does that mean to be designated
It's a National Historic District. It opens it up for some tax credit abilities at the state and the federal level. So when some of those downtown businesses, if they want to improve their businesses and they can apply for some tax incentives or tax credits through a couple of different programs that Nebraska has and that the federal government has.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question before you get away? Out of curiosity, did the establishment of that district play a role in receiving this grant by having that district formed that you guys formed a few years ago? Does that make grants like this easier to obtain, or does that not have anything to do with that?
Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Lucas, not really. We've applied for grants like this ever since creation of the Historic Preservation Commission. And they encourage us to apply for grants because the state does set aside a certain dollar amount that are only for certified local governments. And at this time, I believe there's only 8 in the state. We're one of those. And so there's a funding there to do historic preservation activities of some sort. Sometimes they're plans, sometimes they're tours, sometimes they're National Register nominations, sometimes just signage, things like that. And so, no, it really doesn't have anything to do with that designation.
So the certified government designation is the bigger deal on
Yes.
that? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rieger?
Judy, thinking about the brochures and stuff, where do the brochures go? What's the purpose of the brochure? What are we trying to target somebody, or are they, what happens to the brochures once they're printed?
Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Rieger, yes, it's tourism. There's a huge tourism industry that's associated with historic preservation. And a couple of our historic preservation members, Casey Anderson in particular and Stephen Granger, they actually get called quite frequently when tourists come to town. They want to go tour the downtown. The brochures are distributed to a lot of the hotels, restaurants. Convention and Visitors Bureau always has a stack of them. We have some here at City Hall. But it's amazing. And I'm not a real big historic buff, but it is amazing to me how many people do actually tour the state of Nebraska or other states based on historic properties that they want to see.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
I move to approve and authorize mayor's signature regarding an agreement between the state of Nebraska, History Nebraska, and the city of North Platte to complete historic preservation-related activities in the certified local government.
Second.
Okay, motion, Isley. I think Ty spoke first on that one, so I'm giving him second. Call the question, please. Number 5. Okay, number 5 passes. Moving on to the regular agenda. We have first a public hearing to consider action on recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission for approval of ordinance number 4069, vacating a portion of North Eastman Avenue located between 820 and 902 East 15th Street. Mr. Kibben, would you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance of the City of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, vacating a portion of North Eastman Avenue located from East 15th Street running south to the abutting alley, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinance in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak on the issue, please approach the center podium there. Tell us who you are and what your address is, please.
Hi, I'm Robert L. Ziegler. I live at 820 East 15th Street. I own property 902 and so forth in between, or on the other side of that road. And I'd like to get the road. I've maintained it for 16 years now, trees, grass, watering and so forth. And I feel that it's time that I just take it over and be mine.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ziegler.
Yes.
Anyone else? Public hearing. Going once, going twice. Council, we need a motion, please.
Move to close the public hearing.
Okay. Motion Garrick, second Reeker. Please call the question on closing the public hearing. Okay, public hearing is now closed. Thank you. Considering item number 6, which is action and recommendation by the Planning Commission for approval of ordinance number 4069, vacating a portion of North Eastman Avenue located between 820 and 902 East 15th Street. I will not make Matt read the ordinance again since we've all heard it. Or excuse me, ask him to read the ordinance again. So, do we have any well, first we would need a motion.
I move to adopt ordinance number 406, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I should
Go
have
ahead, Mr.
interrupted.
Nisley, it's fine.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4069 to vacate a portion of the North Eastman Avenue located between 820 East 15th and 902 East 15th Street on first reading.
Second.
Motion Nisley, second Lucas. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Reeker.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know that I've ever been involved with one of these before. I don't know what happens. I mean, does this gentleman then become the owner of that property and he gets to pay taxes on it? Is that the way that works?
Judy, you want to be the expert here for us, but I believe you are correct, Mr. Reeker. So we'll let Judy tell us for sure here.
Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Reeker, yes, that's exactly what happens. According to Nebraska state statute, when you vacate a road that was owned by the city, that property then goes half to the neighboring property owners. In this case, he owns both sides of that street, so half of the street goes to the 902 address and the other half of the street goes to 820. I think he's probably going to come back at a later date and consolidate it with his lot so that he doesn't have, kind of weird lots going on there. But yes, that's exactly how it works. And then he pays taxes on it, goes on the tax rolls.
Well, I think this is a good deal. I usually don't vote for tax increases.
Other discussion on this item? Calling the question. Please vote on number 6. Number 6 passes. We have another public hearing to consider action on recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission to amend a conditional use permit to allow an addition to a dance school located at 3191 North Studley Road in an A-1 transitional agricultural district. The public hearing is now open. If anyone would like to speak to this issue, please approach the microphone and tell us who you are and what your thoughts are.
Philip Hamilton, 818 Reed Avenue. I'm here to represent the dance studio. We're asking for a lenience on the 5 feet of lenience so we can build a 100 by 200 building to expand her business to bring in a rock climbing wall, a trampoline park. That's pretty much what it is. And there is some stipulations in there that we are going to remove the trees along that road, on the main road there, so we can have good visibility down that road for trucks and semis going in there.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I hear a lot about people in North Platte wanting to have a trampoline park. Just out of curiosity, will that be open to the public or how?
Yeah, she's gonna have it all open to the public.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Thank you.
You bet.
Mr.
So
Reed.
you will assess a fee, I mean, you'll have to pay an entry fee or something
Yes,
like
sir.
that to use your facility?
Yes,
Well, that's wonderful.
yeah. We just gotta get approved now for the kids.
Ms. Tryon, go ahead.
And you'll have like liability insurance to cover?
She will, yes.
Okay,
She owns a legacy gym right now,
okay.
so she's running a gymnastics facility, but we're just gonna add onto the pre-existing building.
I never thought about dancing and rock climbing as,
Well,
that's what I was looking.
there's a lot of parents out there that have multiple kids that maybe they're not in the same class, so instead of babysitting them, they can go over there and play,
I think it's a good deal, yeah.
so,
It's okay.
Thank you very much.
you bet. Thank you.
Any other comments? Public hearing. Going once, going twice. Motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion Reeker, second Garrick to close the public hearing. Calling the question, please vote. Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. The council will now consider number 7. Consider action on recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission to amend a conditional use permit to allow an addition to a dance studio located at 3191 North Studley Road in an A1 transitional agricultural district.
I can tackle this one if you'd like. I move that we find the request to amend a conditional use permit to allow an addition to a dance school located at 3191 North Studley Road in an A1 transitional agricultural district with the condition that the trees along both Studley Road and Hall School Road be removed to ensure clear vision at the intersection meets the minimum standards stated in the North Platte Code of Ordinances, Section 156-322, and approve and grant the conditional use permit requested with the condition that all elements of the application are complied with and with the following conditions based on the following factual findings. The use shall conform to all applicable ordinances, laws, and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. The use shall have adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. Ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. The use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located. The use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the most appropriate use of the land.
Second.
Motion Lucas, second Garrick. Any discussion on number 7 by the council? Seeing none, calling the question on number 7, please. Number 7 is passed. We have another public hearing, folks. Here we go. It's exciting stuff. Okay. So this public hearing is to consider action on recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission to approve a conditional use permit to allow an 80-foot aesthetic pole monopole tower / telecommunication facility for the Viera Wireless Network located at 1302 South Chestnut Street in a B-2 Highway Commercial District.
Mayor Keller?
Go ahead.
Before we enter the public hearing, if we note on the motion on page 58, there's a minor typographical error. It says in 1, a 6-inch white PVC fence. And when we get there, I'm not sure that it makes sense to build a 6-inch tall fence. So let's change that to 6 foot.
Okay. Thank you for catching that. Okay, the public hearing is now open on item number 8. If anyone would like to speak on this matter, please approach the microphone and tell us who you are and where you live. And you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, City Councilman, City staff members, Chris Reha with site acquisition for Viera Wireless Industrial Towers, Mountain Tower and Land, et cetera, all of the LLCs. In short, it's an 80-foot stealth telecommunications tower site. It's friendly to the human eye, and it's going to be right in that southwest corner of our retail store. We did close on the property, and the seller of the property is taking his personal property out, and so we have some bids to demo the site and put in a new retail store that's similar to our York retail store. So with this here, it's going to be an improvement to the area, and exciting that Pepper Jack's hopefully will be coming and other retail stores. So they're going to have excellent indoor coverage for Viera Wireless and the other GSM carriers that we partner with. So with that, be glad to answer any questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Hahn.
I do have a question. The last time we approved a cell tower, there was some talk of having a retail store at that location. Is that not going to happen? It'll be here, or are you going to maybe have 2 retail stores?
Okay. Ms. Councilwoman, Tryon and Mayor Kelleher, there was a discussion on that commercial building by the high schools. That could be possibly a retail store or some other type of continued commercial business. I do know for sure that we have parties interested in renting it. And so haven't heard anything as a recent development on that yet, but we do on that one, off the topic, we do have the foundation in. So, as soon as I find out more, information on that specific site, then, I can inform Judy or whoever, Matt, your city administrator, and give them the confirmation on that. We are renovating a certain part of it so that we can get our radio equipment back in there. So that has to be done.
Anyone else for public hearing questions? Thank you, Mr. Rehan. Anyone else wanting to speak on this issue? Going once, going twice. Starting to sound like an auctioneer up here. Could we have a motion, please?
I'll move to close the public hearing, please.
Second.
Motion Lucas, second Reeker. To close the public hearing, calling the question, please vote. Public hearing is now closed. Thank you. Item number 8 for the council to consider action on recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission to approve a conditional use permit to allow an 80-foot aesthetic pole, monopole tower / telecommunication facility for the Viera Wireless Network located at 1302 South Chestnut Street in a B2 Highway Commercial District. If you decide to make a motion on this, please build something larger than a 6-inch fence. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we find a request for a conditional use permit to allow an 80-foot aesthetic pole, monopole tower telecommunication facility for the Viera Wireless Network located at 1302 South Chestnut Street in a B2 Highway Commercial District, meets the minimum standards stated in North Platte Code of Ordinances Section 156-322, and approve and grant the conditional use permit requested with the condition that all elements of the application are complied with, and with the following conditions. A 6-foot white PVC fence similar to that indicated in the photos located on the adjacent property be installed at the base of this tower and around all components associated with the tower. Based on the following factual findings, number 1, the use shall conform to all applicable ordinances, laws, and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. Number 2, the use shall have adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. Number 3, ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. Number 4, the use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located. And number 5, the use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the most appropriate use of the land.
Second.
Motion Reeker, second Nisley. Discussion on item number 8 by the council. Seeing none, calling the question on item number 8, please. Item number 8 has passed. We are embarking on the final public hearing of the evening, everyone, just so you know. Okay, this will be a public hearing to consider an action on consider action on recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission to approve a conditional use permit to allow a 100-foot monopole tower and associated equipment for the Viera Wireless Network located at 2720 South Willow Street in a B-2 Highway Commercial District. We are officially opening the public hearing at this time. Mr. Reha, do you have anything to add on this one?
Mr. Mayor, City Councilman, City Staff, again, Chris Reha, Site Acquisition. I do not have anything much to add. Planning Commission, during their May meeting, they kept it nice and simple, really no deep questions, just like on the previous site that you approved of. It's, instead of being in the guts of that large lot residential area, we're on the side of it, and we're located still in a B2 zoning district, so it's going to give really good in-building coverage for those businesses to the east, and then obviously a good chunk for those residential large lot owners to the west and somewhat to the south. And who knows how far north it's going to go. For sure it'll cross the interstate, but trees, foliage, you know how they like to absorb frequency waves. So it's going to be a great addition.
Okay, thank you.
Questions, anybody?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reha. Anyone else speaking on this issue?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion Reeker, second Garrick to close the public hearing. Calling the question, please vote on closing the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Thank you, everyone. The council will now consider item number 9, which is action on recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission to approve a conditional use permit to allow a 100-foot monopole tower and associated equipment for the Viera Wireless Network located at 2720 South Willow Street in a B-2 Highway Commercial District.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we find the request for conditional use permit to allow a 100-foot monopole tower and associated equipment for the Viera Wireless Network. The property is located at 2720 South Willow Street and the B2 Highway Commercial District meets the minimum standards stated in North Platte Code of Ordinances, Section 156-322, and approve and grant the conditional use permit requested with the condition that all elements of the application are complied with. Number one, a 6-foot chain link fence be built at the base of the tower and surround all components associated with the tower. Based on the following factual findings, the use, number one, the use shall conform to all applicable ordinances, laws, and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. Number two, the use shall have adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. Number three, ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. Number four, the use shall, in all other respects, conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located. And number five, the use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the most appropriate use of the land.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reeker, second by Mr. Garrick. Any discussion on item number 9?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Lucas?
Just a quick comment, since the gentleman from Vero came out to see us. I really appreciate the investment you guys are putting in the community. These are both the prior item and this item these are valuable pieces of ground. And, obviously you put a cell tower on them, you have less room to do other things on them. And so you really are making a big investment here in a way that I think the community, obviously we don't have people lined up to object about it tonight. So I just wanted you to know it's noted that we appreciate the investment you guys are making.
Anyone else? Okay. No further discussion. Calling the question on number 9, please vote. Item number 9 passes. Item number 10, adopt a resolution authorizing the early redemption of the city's outstanding electric revenue refunding bonds, Series 2010, in the principal amount of $145,000.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the early redemption of the city's electric revenue refunding bonds, Series 2010, dated June 22nd, 2010, as presented.
Second.
Motion Garrick, second Reeker. Any discussion on item number 10? Seeing no discussion, calling the question on number 10, please vote. Number 10 passes. Item number 11 is pulled from the agenda. The request changed, so no reason for the council to consider item number 11. It's now moot. Moving on to item number 12, adopt the resolution consenting to the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor on East 5th Street and North Bailey Street during Platte River Cruise Night on July 9th and 10th, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution consenting to the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor on East 5th Street between North Dewey and North Bailey Streets during Platte River Cruise Night on July 9 and 10, 2021.
Second.
Motion Reeker, second Lucas. Any discussion on item number 12?
Is this just giving them permission to have liquor, and then the next one, number 13, that kind of designates how it's going to be controlled? Is that it? It's two steps?
It's because it's on city property, Liquor Control Commission requires a resolution saying we give permission, and then the next one is for their license.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Other discussion? Seeing none, calling the question on number 12. Number 12 passes. Number 13, approve application by the North Platte J.C.'s for special designated licenses on July 9, 2021 from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. and July 10, 2021 from 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. on East 5th Street between North Dewey and North Bailey Streets during Platte River Cruise Night.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve application by North Platte J.C.'s for special designated licenses on July 9, 2021 from 6 o'clock p.m. to 1 o'clock a.m. and July 10, 2021 from 1 o'clock p.m. to 1 o'clock a.m. on East 5th Street between North Dewey and North Bailey Streets during the Platte River Cruise Night.
Motion Reeker, second Carmen. Any discussion on item number 13? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 13, please. Item number 13 passes. Number 14, authorize the mayor to execute the agreement between the City of North Platte and Health Check 360.
I move to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement with the City of North Platte and Health Check 360.
Second.
Motion Garrick, second Lucas. Any discussion on item number 14? Mr. Carmen.
Mr. Mayor, what is Health Check 360?
Mr. Gibbon, you want to take that one?
Yeah, Health Check 360 is a health and wellness organization that will implement a program for the employees. They'll do our biometric screening, so essentially an annual blood draw, and then they'll provide health coaching services. If your metrics aren't within certain
ranges.
Thank you. Struggled with that. Within certain ranges to help to improve them. The idea is that we ultimately will work toward reducing our claim spend on medical insurance.
Thank you.
Other questions? I'm not sure who's first, but Ms. Tryon, go ahead.
Okay, on page 122, it says there's 32 employees that are not. I mean, is this for all city employees?
We are going to offer this to all city employees. This data is based on who had participated in our former health and wellness program. So we anticipate that a certain number of employees may not participate in the program.
But it will be offered?
Offered to all of them.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Nisley, did you have a question?
That was my question,
That was
whether it be
your question.
offered to all city employees.
Thank you. Mr. Reeker?
Mr. Mayor, is this particular wellness program tied to health insurance? In other words, if an employee is not utilizing the city's health insurance, does that eliminate their opportunity to participate in the program?
Initially, that was the idea. However, upon further review, I think we should offer this to every employee if it's truly going to be a benefit. And so I will work with Dawn and Jill to determine a revised plan for the $25. What the idea behind the $25 is the Affordable Care Act doesn't allow you to increase an insurance premium for not participating in a program like this. So you have to incentivize the program by saying your premium is X amount of dollars, and if you participate, you get a $25 reduction in your insurance premium. So essentially, if you participate, your healthcare insurance premium stays the same. If you don't participate, then you pay a $25 additional per month.
So those employees that say don't avail themselves of city insurance, they wouldn't get a refund, and so it would just be at no charge to them whatsoever.
That's the part I need to think through.
Okay. But that's part of what you're wanting to do, or at least have everybody given the option to participate in the program.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
So if
Go ahead, Ms.
we,
Tryon, you have the floor.
vote on, thank you, if we vote on this tonight, is that going to be part of the condition that you will go ahead and negotiate?
Yes.
So then I just have another question. Are the actual medical provider, is it someone here in town that's contracted with this wellness company to do the blood draw and the analyzing and all that?
Mayor Keller, Councilwoman Tryon, we reached out to pathology services to do the blood draws. This year, their testing, the biometric screening wasn't as comprehensive as Health Check 360 provides. and their cost was significantly higher than Health Check 360. So we're going to continue, it's a one-year agreement with Health Check 360 to do the biometric screenings and continue to work with local services to do the blood draws.
Oh, okay, so it
Going
will be
forward.
done locally, they won't be bringing somebody in. Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Question?
Mr. Lucas, you have the floor.
Mr. Gibbon, did they provide any support on things such as health initiatives or internal committees with focus on the subject, or did they do things beyond just the biometric screening?
Yes, absolutely. So as part of this program, they'll offer challenges to the employees to help better themselves. The health coaching is another aspect, walking through meal plans or ideas. Well, I like this type of food. Here are some suggested alternatives to those. So it's a very comprehensive plan versus our prior plan, which was purely a blood draw once a year.
I know from my experience is just a recommendation or something for you guys to give some consideration to is, I know we've found that if we have a diverse employee committee that has some interaction with a consultant like that and then translates to the employee base, it can be a really effective model. Yeah.
Other discussion? Mr. Reeker?
Well, I just was going to say, I'm not sure that there's a good alternative to chocolate ice cream.
Could be soy-based.
Oh, come on.
I think it may highly depend on your goal. Okay, seeing no further discussion, calling the question on number 14. Please vote. Number 14 passes. Number 15, third reading and action on ordinance number 4068 to create water extension district number 266 at the intersection of West 9th Street and North Carr Avenue, thence south approximately 450 feet. Mr. Gibbon, please read that ordinance.
An ordinance creating water extension district number 266, beginning at the existing water main at the intersection of West 9th Street and North Carr Avenue, then south approximately 450 feet within the corporate limits or the extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, establishing the outer boundaries of the district, designating the size, location, and terminal points, and referring to plans and specifications and estimates of the city engineer in connection therewith on file with the city clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbon.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4068 in order to create water extension district number 266 as presented in council materials.
Second.
Motion Garrick, second Reeker. Any discussion on item number 15? Seeing no discussion, please, calling the question on item number 15, please vote. Mr. Nisley,
I'm sorry.
punch your button, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, yes. Item number 15 is passed. Item number 16, adopt the resolution for placement of a stop sign at the intersection of Brentwood Circle and Lakeview Boulevard, heading eastbound.
I move to approve the resolution for the placement of a stop sign located eastbound on Brentwood Circle at Lakeview Boulevard.
Second.
Motion Lucas, second. Was that you, Mr. Reeker? Mr. Reeker? Any discussion on item number 16? Seeing none, calling the question, please vote on item number 16. Item number 16 is passed. Item number 17, adopt resolution approving claim and authorizing the issuance of a warrant to Beverage Inc. in the amount of $146,294.10 to pay approved claim and referring to and incorporating the terms and conditions of ordinance number 3874 relating to warrant financing passed and approved on May 21, 2013.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of one warrant as presented in the materials.
Second.
Motion. Reeker, second. Garrick. Any discussion on this item? Okay, calling the question on number 17. Number 17 has passed. Number 18. Discussion as to whether or not the city council meeting location should be changed when an item relating to sustainable beef is on the agenda. This is just a discussion, no action will be taken. Simply going to mention a few facts and ask the council sort of what their pleasure is on this issue. I'm going to take the first opportunity to speak because I have the microphone right now, so. We received, as you see in your council book, a written request to, well, as stated in this discussion item, to consider relocating the council meeting to a larger venue specific to sustainable beef when that issue is on the agenda. Just to be clear, at this point, we have not received a redevelopment plan for sustainable beef, so we have, at this point, no idea when that discussion may occur. It could be this summer, it could be this fall, it could be a year from now. We genuinely don't know at this time. A couple things to mention, just so you know, we did ask, Matt and I asked the city departments to come up with some costs around what it would cost to move this meeting to another location, where we would need items such as microphones, technology to stream, possibly tables and chairs, and different things like that that you would need in meeting requirements. And we ended up landing on developing a not-to-exceed value, because depending on where you go, you have different facilities, different offerings. Subsequent to the article that Mr. Van Kampen provided for us in the Sunday Telegraph, we've had a couple churches call and say, you could probably use our church. We have not fully researched those, but in general, anywhere we might relocate to is likely to have some of what we need, but probably would not have everything we need. So for a future consideration of budget expense, we would be looking at a not-to-exceed value of $4,200 anytime we decided to move to a bigger place. It probably would not reach $4,200. Would probably be somewhere between $500 and $4,000 is likely where the number would set, depending on where we went and what the circumstances are at that location. So what I'm just asking the council to do when we get done with this discussion is just sort of state what your preference might be, and then if it involves spending money, which we would use out of contingency funds in case that's a question, we could then relocate the meeting if we chose to. Hold on just a second, Mr. Carmen, I want to say one more thing. Nope, that's it. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Seems to me this is a little premature in as much as we haven't even seen a plan yet, and there's plenty of time to decide later on whether or not we need a larger venue, depending upon the climate that we see out there among the public, how much interest there will be in that meeting. And I think will manifest itself more later on. It's a little bit early for this, in my opinion.
Thank you. Just to state the reason for the discussion is there, as you are aware, there are certain advertising requirements with moving meetings and public meetings. So if the council wants to even consider moving it, we need to identify a location. If we went that path, we know what dates these meetings occur, so we could go to venues and say, are you available on this date or are you not? We could have a plan, is my point. Whereas if we went to consider this, say, 3 weeks ahead of a meeting, we would be challenged to maybe get it done, is my point. So this is really about, do we develop a plan to do this or do we not, if you want to sum it up in a single question. So.
And you received the request.
Yep, and we did receive the request from the public, so therefore we're honoring their request and considering that in this discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I think this is a good idea, not just in the sustainable beef area, but I mean, we're gonna have other things come up that could have larger audiences. For me, we need to create some kind of a mechanism where it's, 200 signatures on a petition or 500 or whatever that number is. And I think it needs to be a fairly significant number, considering let's say 500 people sign a petition, 500 people aren't going to show up. You might get 100 out of those 500 people that signed a petition. So I think we create some kind of a mechanism where they can petition to have it moved to a larger venue, and that makes sense to spend funds.
Mr. Mayor, it seems to me like we have no idea how many people might show up. We might have 3, we might have 300. And I think it would be, quite frankly, kind of irresponsible on our part to move a meeting for, spend $4,600 or $4,200 or $500, the city's money, which ostensibly is all of our money, for an unknown. I mean, I think we've got pretty good facilities here, actually. And I don't know how many people can sit out there, 30, 40 maybe?
We'd have to
Didn't count
the
the chairs,
It's
but,
it's around 50 people, so.
Okay,
60 total.
64, okay.
60, somewhere in there.
And then we've got a conference room where we could probably seat another 20. And so, we're hallways, this and that, conceivably, we could have somewhere between 80 and 100 people in this building. I personally see no reason to consider moving the venue. We've got all of our facilities here. People in the community know that this is where we gather twice a month. To move our meetings at what I consider to be considerable expense on a guess is, I would oppose it.
Anything from this side of the room?
Well, Mayor, Kelleher, and council members, I having been on the council, I think it's really important to have the public input. And, we've had these meetings here where people out in the hallway and they're sitting. I think that, I don't know if this, I think the NRD, when there's some issue where they had out the college, I know there's a public hearing held out there, one of the governmental entities. And I think we need to consider that so the people are comfortable there and that they have an opportunity to voice their opinion. I think it's really important that we do that. I have a suspicion, and Ed, I'm not arguing this, but we know from last time with sustainable beef, this is not going to be sufficient, I don't think. There's going to be people in the hallway, and I think we need to give them a good venue to voice their opinions, because I think that's critical. That's just my opinion, guys. And we just have to pay the expense. But I think it's very important that the public have the ability to tell us what they think.
But as a comment to your comment, it would seem to me like that the people that were here at the last meeting where we did discuss this were accommodated. I think people had an opportunity to voice their thoughts on the issue. I don't know that anyone was ever turned away or discouraged from speaking. And I was at a meeting in Kearney with the Nebraska State School Board 2 weeks ago where there was 400 people there, and 150 people wanted to make a presentation, and they said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to give you 75 people and we're going to give you 2 minutes. Now, for me, that's wrong. Because people had driven many, many miles in some cases to make a presentation to the school board, and in fact had to prepare, I think, 15 copies of their presentation, and then they were forbidden from doing that. I don't see this council ever doing that. I see this council being open to the public's discussion, and I guess from my perspective, again, I didn't hear of anybody that was upset that they didn't have a chance to voice their concerns or their thoughts. So just another point of the discussion.
It's fine.
Mr. Mayor, I'm probably in Mr. Nisley's camp on this. I think the attendance will likely be high when the time comes and you guys can gauge that. I think it's good to be thinking ahead, because what you don't want to have happen is to make a quick move and then have technology problems where our live streaming doesn't work. That would be bad. And so I'm supportive of some forethought on this and having a plan that we can execute for it. I probably feel more comfortable in some type of governmental building, if that's possible, whether that be a school, a college, or something that's not a private facility. And also, I think if we would do that, it'd be nice to have the agenda structured in a way where if somebody came here for a 5:30 meeting and needed to get across town, that they could get there before that particular item would be heard. So I'm not necessarily suggesting a meeting time change, but possibly having that item later in the agenda to where if somebody was to come here, saw the sign, they could get across town so we don't have a confusion factor. But I think it's wise for you guys to be planning for this because I would expect pretty high attendance. And anything we could do to avoid a streaming snafu on that, I think is really important because I think it looks like the viewership has been very strong on some of the more contested items. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people wanting to watch that.
I don't think we're going to eclipse the Tonight Show anytime soon. But I just so the council knows, on our meeting here on April 6th has had 943 views on YouTube, which is a pretty significant number. Most of those were garnered within 2 or 3 days of the meeting. The meeting on 4/20 was 186. The meeting on 5/4 was 793. And then 291, and then 163 from the meeting on the 1st of June, just for your reference. So when we have things that are interesting to the public, clearly we have a lot of viewership, so which is exciting. I mean, that community engagement, and I'm happy to see it. So, but Ms. Tryon interrupted you, so go ahead.
That's okay. I guess, excuse me. Excuse me. I guess I would like to continue to use the chamber. I mean, that's what it is here for, and we can accommodate people. And wouldn't there be more than wouldn't it be like 3 readings, 3 meetings on this project? Just going to be one and we vote on that? Is that?
Yeah, this would be a vote on the redevelopment plan, so it's different than the mall project because there was an ordinance involved, and that's what triggered the 3 readings.
People can communicate either, like Brad suggested, they could sign a petition for how they feel about it and present it. One person can present it. There's email, telephone, text, letters, if they want to express an opinion about something. My concern, I guess, is if the city spends this money to move to a venue and do the advertising and the labor, and how do we know that venue, the technology is going to work, since it would have to be tested, and we're here, we already know it works. I would hate to spend that kind of money and then have 500 people come and speak and maybe not really have that many different ideas or opinions. I mean, if they all have the same opinion, you know what I'm saying? That concerns me. We go to all this expense and then we hear the same thing over and over and over. Just my idea. I would leave it as is.
Okay.
Just to clarify, I'm in favor of having an option for us to move it to another venue. I think that's a good idea for big ticket items. The petition piece was some kind of a mechanism to how do you facilitate, to your point, Ed, how do you know how many people are going to show up? It's just because somebody thinks it's a big deal doesn't mean 500 people think it's a big deal. So I think we need to create some kind of this is what we need to do in order to trigger us spending those reserves.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Reeker.
Is there a way that the public can enter written commentary and make that be part of the official record?
Yes, if we receive letters that they ask to be part of a discussion, we'll provide those letters to the council as we have always done in the past. They could do that either with a physical letter or they can submit an email, or there's actually a web form on the city website. They could put in what their thoughts and comments are, and those would be printed and provided to the council. So yes.
So would that actually become part of the public record then?
Yes. If it's in your book, it becomes part of the public record.
Thank you.
Mayor, and Ed, I'm not arguing with you, but I think that a public hearing is you want to hear people, you want to hear the human voice. And, you can do that, you can make a record by writing, but, that's the responsibility we bear. If 100 people want to talk to us and express their opinions, we got to sit here and listen to it.
I totally agree.
And to me, it needs to be done by voice, not by writing. That's just my opinion.
Go ahead.
Jim, I really agree with you on this. I don't think you can overestimate the value of the public having a comfortable opportunity to testify on an issue, and especially a controversial issue. When I ran for city council, I imagined that there were probably going to be some nights, of course, we used to start at 7 o'clock then, didn't we? Which was kind of tough. But I had every imagination that there'd be nights where we might be there till 10 or 11 o'clock because we had an important issue. And I think the more we welcome that to the community, the stronger our local government's going to be. I really believe that.
My comment wasn't necessarily to restrict people from coming to testify, but, I mean, even in my own situation, there's been times when I would like to have gone to Lincoln to testify before the legislature when there was just no way that I could do that. And so I did have the option of writing a letter and requesting that be made part of the public record. It's not just because people, that we're trying to restrict people from coming to testify. It's sometimes people don't want to get up in public. Some people may be out of town. Any number of things that could impinge on their ability to publicly express their thoughts. And the written record then would at least give them an opportunity to express their thoughts. I mean, we could have 500 people that are saying, go, go, go. We want this, we want this, we want this.
I agree, we should accept both, but I don't want to discourage people from coming up and telling us.
I don't either.
By voice. I mean, if they want to submit something, we'll consider both of them. But I don't want to, that was my only concern, Ed. I don't want to restrict people. I think it's very important in our democracy that every person has a right to be heard.
No, and I also did not mean to sound like I was restricting people. It's just if 500 people show up and 10 speak, and we've done all this huge expense, because we've had crowds here, and I think everyone got to speak that wanted to, as far as I know. So, I don't know, I think we could work around it and accommodate people.
Mr. Carmen.
Mr. Mayor, I tend to agree primarily with Mr. Nisley. There was something about that meeting, it didn't have anything to do with the beef processor, but it had to do with the mall when we had a lot of interest in that meeting. We had, the hallway was full, the conference room was full, and I admired the way you made it possible for those who wanted to have their thoughts known or heard were accommodated that night. I think we had 40-some people who traveled from the other end of the building down here to be able to comment. But still, it left something to be desired, I thought, in the way we had to accommodate that. I think it would have been lots better if we could have all been in the same room, all seen the same body language going on, and an open feeling of open communication would have been superior to what we did by having people come down and take a number. So I agree. I think we need to be able to accommodate as many as want to show up. I love the way I see this community responding now and showing up for meetings more than I've ever seen before in the 10 years I've been around. I think that's very healthy. So I'd like to see us be able to accommodate everybody in one big venue. Thank you.
Okay, this is what we'll do from the city perspective. We're going to do some additional research on this issue. Since we've had a couple of entities reach out and say, you can come here for free, we will look and see about those entities and actually go there and determine whether we could actually relocate to those entities, or do they have everything we need, do they not? Where does that leave us? We will also consider, both from the legal perspective and from the possibility perspective, if we do request the public to provide us with some number of signatures, whatever that number may be, in order for this council to actually file a resolution to move the meeting, and what does that really require? And then we can actually have a vote on it at some future point. Is everyone okay with that course of action for right now?
Is it possible for people to make donations for the expense? Just throwing it out there.
I suppose it might be possible. We'll research that question as well and make sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
They may as well.
Okay, anyone have anything else on number 18? Thank you, everyone, for having the discussion. I think it's important to the public and to people's interests that we do that from time to time, so I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the input. Moving on to number 19, approving claims.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the claims. A comment, a question, I guess, actually. That's why I was hesitating.
Okay, hold on just a second. So I have a motion for Mr. Reeker and a second for Mr. Carmen, and discussion. Mr. Reeker, you have the floor.
Thank you. Under quality growth, we show Downtown Association of $65,000. Is that a final payment then on that project?
No, those are partial payments, so as they get invoices for the amenities that were provided, or that, not provided, that they purchased for the downtown area, we receive those invoices and pay them on behalf of the Downtown Association.
Did we come to any resolution on maintenance of the amenities? The benches and the pot planters and the signage and all of this stuff, and who's gonna maintain that over time and accept any responsibility for that?
We've had one meeting with the Downtown Association where we discussed that we need to, they need to work to establish themselves as an entity so that we can enter into those types of agreements with the Downtown Association. Probably due for a follow-up conversation on that with those folks.
Well, I guess from my perspective, I would certainly encourage us to, as we get to the tail end of this money that's being given to the Downtown Merchants Association, that first of all, this is resolved so that we know, they know, everybody knows who's responsible for the maintenance of the facilities, and if need be, that we could maybe even escrow part of that money for a long-term maintenance program. So.
That was the tenor of the discussion at the first meeting, and then we agreed to meet again to approach the how do we accomplish that.
Thank you.
Donna?
Thank you. I have a question. Gifts and donations for $18,400. What, you know what that is, or?
Is that Chandler Rent?
Yes.
Chandler Rent did the work on the Memorial Park pickleball courts. And so if you recall, we provided, I think, an up to $8,000 match for the repair or addition to the pickleball courts in Memorial Park. And then they provided, I can't remember the number, like 40?
So somewhere around there.
Somewhere around $40,000 for the.
Okay. I didn't know who that was, so.
It's 30.
Okay. Any other discussion on item number 19? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 19. Please vote. Item number 19 passes. Public agenda request. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. Do we have anyone who would like to present an agenda item request? Most of the public is choosing the web form to submit their agenda item requests. We had the one we just discussed, and we received another one yesterday that we'll hear about in a future meeting. Okay. Seeing no one, Mr.
Mr.
Reeker?
Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion Reeker, second Nisley to adjourn. Please call the question.
All right.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the warm weather and have some fun at Nebraska Land Days. No,
I'm sorry.
I was gonna, it says, this kind of a dichotomy here, where we're given clues to go on Thursday night. Does that make a lot of sense?